projects, legal issues and opinions on any open session agenda item, litigation updates, and Oprah. So I think we start off this evening with a presentation regarding Arbor Day. Councilmember Pagan, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This proclamation was requested by the Shade Tree Advisory Board because we were not able to observe Arbor Day this past April due to the pandemic. And as everyone knows, Arbor Day is a day in which people and groups are encouraged to plant trees across the country. The proclamation states, whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, James Dunleavy, Mayor of the Township of Teaneck, do hereby proclaim October 21st as Arbor Day in the Township of Teaneck instead of the traditional month of April due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And furthermore, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan, and thanks to the Shade Tree Advisory Board for bringing that up. I think it's important that everybody be reminded the importance of trees and everything that grows all around us. It's very important. All right, work session items. Miscellaneous, old business, new business. Councilmember Rice, why don't you can do, I think, the nomination at this time. You're muted, Councilmember.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I'd like to nominate Colleen Diskin to the Community Relations Advisory Board.
Here, a second.
Can I get a second? Great.
Councilmember Pagan, discussion? All those in favor? Great.
Yep.
Her name will be placed in nomination.
Just a brief, I'm sorry, Mayor, in terms of discussion, we just had a lovely interview with Colleen, who has been a long-serving community member, does a lot of work on the age-friendly Teaneck, and she'd be a welcomed addition to our Community Relations Advisory Board.
Thank you.
Mayor, real quick, I just want to let everyone know we're on YouTube and Facebook. Got it working.
Thank you very much. Okay, communications. Any communications? No? Okay. Committee reports by council liaisons, excuse me. Hackensack River Greenway Advisory Board 2021 annual report.
Yeah, and again, Mayor, I want to just thank the Hackensack River Greenway Advisory Board and all of our chairs and boards that have been working with us since we did that new ordinance last year. This is, I guess we could say, one of our first real work products from that ordinance. And I think that they really set a good model for our other advisory boards. Like I was explaining to you and our chairs, and I'll explain to the rest of the council and the public right now, we're hoping to have all of our advisory boards submit something like this at the end of each year. So stay tuned for our agendas to see some updates from our advisory boards to council. Hopefully we'll have all those up before the end of the year, but no pressure on our volunteers. It's a new thing.
Well, they've been doing good. I know I had a couple of questions, so I'm sure we're going to see more reports and we'll hear more of what they're doing and what they want to do in the future. Okay. Any other committee reports?
Yes,
yeah.
Mayor.
Oh. Okay. We'll start. First hand I saw was Councilmember Kaplan, then Councilmember Rice, then Councilmember Schwartz.
I'll mention quickly the library has been working on several items. One of that will probably affect the public the most is a Wi-Fi garden area, so the children's reading area and various places outside and in connection with the Board of Ed, and a lot of work has been done in the background to have Ethernet injectors and various antennae and everything that's required. But you'll soon, when visiting the municipal complex, be able to have blanketed Wi-Fi coverage in a lot of areas. So that and a lot of programs that the library has posted on their website, as well as their Facebook feed in various places. If you're not familiar with the programs that are going on, I just suggest you go over to the township website and sign up for the various alerts.
Thank you. Councilmember Rice.
Yes, just wanted to mention, as we were speaking of the Hackensack River Greenway, they had a wonderful event on Sunday, the 19th, down by the riverside, where there was a wonderful band that played in that beautiful area of the Mary Topoleski Garden. And they also honored Marie Wanakee, which was a surprise. So they really were very appreciative of the proclamation that was prepared. Thank you, Mayor. And it was a lovely event, and we were able to honor her for all the hard work that she's done with that whole Greenway area, and they have much greater work that they would like to continue to do. But it's for anyone that hasn't taken advantage of that lovely area, that garden by the riverfront, beautiful space to have continued other outdoor events, musical events, arts events. So that concludes the Hackensack Riverway report. The Youth Advisory Board had their first kickoff meeting for the year. They're continuously looking for additional students. They did have a few students that joined, but they're looking for a robust year. And then also Community Relations, Advisory Board on Community Relations held their meeting last week with regard to seeking input from the community about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm sure that they will have an outcome report of those questions that were proposed at that particular meeting. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. The planning board's last meeting was on September 30th, in which they were discussing moving forward the OSRP. Our next meeting will be held on October 14th, in which we expect additional hospital conversations and potentially a hearing to be discussed. And that is that report that I have, our Cedar Lane management report. There's nothing to report on that. Thank you very much.
Great. Anyone else have anything to report? No? Okay. Council listed items. State aid to assist with infrastructure issues. Council Member Kaplan. You're muted, Keith.
Sorry about that. As a lot of people are aware, the infrastructure statewide has lacked a lot of attention in our town, and well, statewide, and it's affected our town a lot. And we cannot take up the mantle for what is required from the state. So what I would like, and I can't imagine any opposition to this, is to direct our council to draw up a resolution and share it with the League of Municipalities that our climate change responsibilities and requirements be met where they belong on the state level. And especially now, as a lot of our elected leaders are seeking public support, to hold them to account, to promise some of that money to come back to us to fix the infrastructure needs that we find in our own community right now.
So it's been requested that we put together a resolution regarding the state's responsibility for infrastructure. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Is everybody okay with this? If I could have a show of hands. Little face. Okay. All right, Keith. Good. All right. Next item, proposed resolution urging increased federal support to address water infrastructure improvements necessary to remove lead in drinking water. Councilmember Pagan.
Thank you, Mayor. While steps have been taken to better protect drinking water across New Jersey and across our country, this resolution urges Congress to continue to make the water infrastructure improvements needed to eliminate all lead from drinking water to better protect children and their families. It is a resolution that is supported by the League of Municipalities and by the New Jersey Association of Counties. So I make a motion to add this resolution to our next council meeting agenda for adoption on October 26th.
Second.
Second. Any objection? Seeing none? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councilmember Rice.
No objection, just discussion. Is there anything else that we can possibly do besides just a resolution to really address the issue of lead? I know at some point we did have a lot of residents that had concern about lead in our water and lead kits. So is there anything else that we can do in terms of working with our water company besides simply proposing a resolution?
Or we could always reach out to our state legislators. So a copy of this resolution, if approved, will go to the governor, to our state legislators, as well as our congressional representatives. We could call them. We could also send another letter. There's a bunch of things we could do. If you want to work with me, I don't mind following up after we approve the resolution with all the people that we need to follow up with, including Suez.
Sure, because if there is genuine real concern from our residents, then I think we should absolutely move, since this is a health and welfare issue.
Let's do it. I look forward to it.
Okay.
Question
All right,
real quick.
so-
I apologize, Mayor. I'm sorry, Councilman Kaplan, the resolution that you put up too, we were looking at that for October 26th, correct?
Keith, you muted.
Sorry. As soon as our attorney drafts it, he can submit it to us, and as long as it passes muster, we can stick it on the agenda.
Cool.
Already noted.
So without objection, we'll also move Councilmember Pagan's proposed resolution, and hopefully we'll have that drafted by the 26th. And Council members Pagan and Rice will look at other ways in which we can pursue getting the lead out of the water, other than just the resolution. Okay.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, just so you know, just for information purposes, the resolution is already drafted in our packet. But yeah.
Duh. You're absolutely right. Okay. So we're not going to do that on the 26th. All right.
It just procedurally, Mr. Mayor, I think if Councilman Pagan wants to make a agenda motion to add it to the consent agenda, that way the clerk can call the roll at that time.
Sure, I don't mind making an agenda motion for that.
And I'll second that.
Second.
Thank you.
And that is for Councilman Pagan's council listed
Right.
item, but we're not doing that for Councilman Kaplan's. That will be the 26th because the
That'll be
attorney.
for the
Okay, cool. So motion to add consent agenda.
And very quickly, for the benefit of the public, since it's already in our packet and
Right.
everyone's had a chance to review it, it's just moving it from the front of the packet to the back so that it could be voted on later in the evening.
Right.
Did we have a first on that? I apologize.
That was Councilman
Yeah.
Pagan
Yep.
motion, and I seconded it.
And you seconded.
All right, going down the roll, Councilman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Pagan,
Yes, sir.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
This will be added to tonight's consent agenda, and it's going to be resolution 262-2021, 262-2021.
Okay.
We'll see it again in a little bit.
All right. Thank you. All right. Township managers report.
Good evening. I have a lot to cover here for the public and a little bit of bad news with a heavy heart. I need to announce the passing of 3 retired township employees. One is Captain Robert Eric from the police department. He was a World War II veteran, having served in the U.S. Army, retired from the police department after 31 years of service in 1983. He also served as a U.S. Marshal and was currently, prior to his death, working for the Putnam County Sheriff's Department in Florida. The second person that unfortunately passed is Fire Lieutenant Richard Schroeder. He served the township's fire department from 1970 to 2001. And some of you may know him, Francisco Martinez. He was a building maintenance worker for Public Works from 1986 to 2013. He spent many years at the police department and the municipal building, keeping the buildings in pristine shape. He was a meticulous worker, a gentleman, a huge heart. I knew him very well. He was loved by many people in the workplace here. I just ask everyone to keep the Eric, Schroeder, and Martinez families in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time for the families. Francisco passed away in Spain unexpectedly, and our thoughts and prayers go out to, I spoke to his daughter today, and thoughts and prayers remain with the family. COVID-19 update for the public, so that everyone's aware. Between September 1st and today, the township experienced 223 new cases of COVID-19. We're averaging about 6.4 positives per day. 68 were recorded in the last 5 days of September and 31 from October 1st until today's meeting. And children have accounted for 75 of the 192 cases. Most of those occurring between the ages of 5 and 11, that's 55 cases. And between the ages of 12 and 17, 20 cases. Another death was recorded, township resident, bringing the total numbers of casualties to Teaneck to 123 since the pandemic started. Teaneck is at 4,223 cases since the onset of COVID, third highest to Bergen County. Holy Name has 11 patients currently admitted for COVID. 10 of the 11, important to note, were not vaccinated. One of those patients is in ICU on a ventilator. We recently opened Gym 1 at the Rhoda Center for booster shots only. For the public, those eligible to receive the booster shot must have completed their 2-shot course at least 6 months ago and who are 65 and older. A long-term care resident, an adult with underlying medical conditions, an adult at higher risk of COVID-19 exposure because of their job or living situation. If you're eligible for a Pfizer booster, you can register at vaccine.holyname.org. This has not changed. So it's vaccine.holyname.org, or you can find a vaccination site near you by going to the website covid19.nj.gov/finder. And that will give you the locations of where other booster shots are currently being given at. I sent out several informational flyers today. They were posted on the website, social media platforms as well, about booster updates and frequently asked questions. They're very informative. We should have the Spanish version posted online tomorrow. For some good news, Teaneck Day is going to take place, as the mayor said, this Sunday, October 10th from 2 to 7. Fireworks will follow at dusk. We're watching the weather closely. However, a few raindrops will not cancel the event. There's going to be plenty of events taking place to include face painters, clown balloonists, stilt walkers, inflatables. Some of those inflatables include castle bounce, sports 5-in-1 combo, a Halloween obstacle course, a zip it line, 50-foot course, trackless train, cornhole tosses, pony carousel, large petting zoo, food trucks. There's going to be the portable firehouse demonstrations by the fire department. There'll be members from our police, fire, and other municipal department heads there present as well. There's going to be a rhythm and blues concert from 5 to 6 p.m. by Grammy and Tony Award winners from the New York City Love and Soul Band, featuring Teaneck's very own Reggie Pittman. I'm looking so forward to seeing Reggie in action. You're going to have hit music played throughout the day by our very own DJ Doug. Thank you, Doug, for volunteering your time. We're going to have some dignitary presentations at 2:30 p.m. In Colonial Court. We're going to have the Bergen County Showmobile there, which is going to be parked on the south side of the parking lot. Again, fireworks by Grucci will start at dusk. Please keep in mind that Palisade Avenue is going to be closed from Colonial Court to Court Street from about 8 a.m. on Sunday until the fireworks are over. We're going to have the explosive truck there We have to escort it in, and for everyone's safety, that roadway will be closed again from roughly 8 a.m. until the fireworks are over. Parking is going to be difficult, folks. I suggest and recommend where possible to walk, bicycle, carpool, Uber it to Voti Park. I expect, a couple thousand people there. The Colonial Court, PSE&G parking lots are both going to be closed. The parking restrictions on surrounding streets will be relaxed for the day. The residents can also use the Benjamin Franklin School parking lot, the Teaneck High School parking lot, the Palisade Avenue Municipal parking lot, Court Street lot as well. And the fireworks are going to be launched from the smaller field north of the Sportsplex. Residents can view the fireworks from the Sportsplex itself and any other open areas of OT Park that are not cordoned off. The fireworks display will last about 20 minutes, synchronized to music. The Board of Education is allowing us to use the BF Benjamin Franklin Fields north and south of the school parking lot as an ancillary location for viewing. I suggest you bring your lawn chairs, sit, relax, enjoy the show. Really looking forward to it. As the mayor said, I believe the last time we had fireworks was back in the 70s. So very excited about that. And many thanks to Holy Name for co-sponsoring the fireworks event. I'll be putting out additional information this week about parking and viewing locations so that it's clear to everyone. Please monitor Nixle, social media, and our website very closely for updated information. I have a final meeting tomorrow with my staff and command to finalize the preparation going into this big event. Also, on a good note, I appointed Ann Gallagher to the position of Deputy Court Administrator effective October 1st. Ann is replacing the former Deputy Court Administrator who transferred to Hoboken. This was an internal promotion, and Ann is a certified court administrator, has been here with us for about 5+ years, very competent and very excited to be working with her. Also appointed Zana Jones to the position of Recreation Leader in the Senior Division. This is a position that we spoke about since last year, filling for the seniors to have her work with Mary Beth Hubbard. She started her full-time assignment on October 1st. Also appointed Dominic Batone as a carpenter in the Department of Public Works, and that's going to be effective October 18th. I also appointed Heba Amera as the new digital librarian, and that's also effective on October 12th, filling the positions that we spoke about. There's going to be some other positions in Public Works, the Health Department, Fire Department, and Police Department that we need to fill, and we have to do so in accordance with Civil Service guidelines. Those positions should be filled before the end of the year. The Police Department one should be filled in January before the new class starts. On Friday at 10 a.m., I'm happy to announce that it's going to be a quick dedication of the new Hawthorne Park tennis and pickleball courts. We'll be officially unlocking the gate for public use. Really looks nice, came out fantastic. So please join us there Friday at 10 a.m. The township completed Tropical Storm Ida cleanup last Friday. Kevin Arahill told me that we picked up 80 tons of debris, storm debris, and I appreciate everyone's patience during this process. It took us about 2 to 3 weeks to get every address that called us up for pickup completed. Yesterday, I participated in a post-tropical storm Ida call with Governor Murphy, FEMA, and other representatives regarding available resources. Yesterday, I also distributed information to everyone via Nixle, as well as through our social media platforms, on available resources for homeowners and businesses through FEMA and the SBA. Please take advantage of the resources. They extended the deadline until November 4th. And one of the most important topics that was brought up yesterday was flood insurance. Although you may not be in a flood zone, I'm stressing, other officials are stressing the importance of securing this type of coverage for added protection for your property for these type of storms, which seem to be becoming more commonplace. Additional information can be found about flood insurance at floodsmart.gov or speaking to your local broker. These type of 100-year storms seem to be happening every year or every other year. So even though you're not in a flood zone, you may want to take advantage of that type of insurance coverage. Governor Murphy also mentioned the deaths of 2 New Jersey residents who lived in the neighboring county. The residential area was not prone to flooding, and the surviving spouse who lived there for over 40 years confirmed the area was never flooded before. And the reason why I bring this up is to stress the importance of signing up for my emergency alerts, specifically Nixle, blast email, reverse 911 calls. This is how I relay messages of urgency to our residents. The 2 deaths that I just mentioned, that the governor mentioned, was the unfortunate results of flash flooding the night Ida hit. Again, we had 8 inches of rain in a 3-hour period of time. There is nowhere for water to go. Please heed to my emergency communications that my office sends out. Teaneck, like many other municipalities throughout the state, experience flooding in areas that generally are not prone to flooding. So again, just please sign up for these emergency alerts. I stay on top of the weather and get this information out as soon as I receive it. In response to some speeding complaints, I ordered 6 portable speed limit signs. They're on order. I anticipate we should have them anywhere in 2 to 4 weeks. They're going to be strategically placed in problem areas to include Tryon Avenue. I also discussed with our engineer, although I was originally against it, the possibility of some sort of pilot program that places temporary speed bumps on problem roadways because of pedestrian traffic in the municipal parking lot. If anyone has been there recently, we installed several sets. And this is helping to slow down that flow of traffic, people that are cutting across the parking lot from the Cedar Lane entrance or the Teaneck Road entrance. We have a lot of pedestrians, workforce, participants of the library, the court crossing every day. And this has certainly made an impact in slowing traffic basically to a stop before you're hitting those speed bumps. So I'm going to look into this. It's probably something we can incorporate into 2022. And it may be a good idea to try as a pilot program. And again, I'm thinking of an area in specific, Tryon Avenue, near the school, to put these temporary speed bumps. I can't stress enough that to the residents here, to the public listening, that a car is a 2-ton weapon, and everyone needs to slow down and pay attention while driving. There are far too many accidents that involve not only speed, but driver inattention as the contributing causes. Personal responsibility goes a long way. We need to keep our community safe. I can put all the speed bumps, radar machines up, but unless everyone is taking responsibility behind that 2-ton weapon, you're not going to stop accidents. My son the other night, and this is how passionate I am with this, Wednesday night was involved in a very bad accident. Fortunately, he's okay. Totaled his new car, and this was due to driver inattention, someone running a stop sign, a young driver that T-boned his car. So again, fortunately, he's fine. But again, I stress the importance to everyone. Slow down, driver inattention. You need to pay attention in your car. Put the cell phones down. It certainly will make our community a little bit safer. Some of the project updates for everyone. I mentioned at the last council meeting, Suez is going to be performing a water main replacement on Linden Avenue between Alma and Hillcrest very soon. They're replacing 3,000 linear feet of 4-inch water main with a new 8-inch iron pipe that's going to provide better water pressure in that area. We anticipate the pipe being delivered on or about October 13th. There are going to be water interruptions as well. Suez will give homeowners 48 hours notice prior to any interruption, and they will also mill and pave the entire work area curb to curb next spring. Engineering is overseeing this project and the backfill inspections, as well as milling and the paving operations. Work at the municipal building for roof replacement and gutters have been awarded to Pax Mundus. All materials are ordered. Again, due to COVID, there are delays in receiving the supplies. We hope that work will get underway sometime this month and be done sometime in November. The municipal building windows, that project is out to bid. The update on the repairs to Fire Station 4, the architect is updating the plans and specs based on the recent roof scan that we had done, and we'll incorporate the repairs into the scope of that project. So that's moving along. We'll have the Penn Avenue tree work advertised and out the bid next week. We're hoping to award this project at the 26th council meeting, so work can begin in November. So that's moving along. Teaneck was recognized by New Jersey Department of Transportation for the attainment of first step for the New Jersey Safe Routes Program, which encourages children to walk and bicycle. There's going to be a virtual awards ceremony on the 19th of this month. Public Wi-Fi will be operational at the Voti Park Fieldhouse later this week. Users, in order to use the Wi-Fi, will need to accept the terms to connect. The 2020 road resurfacing project will be done in its entirety in about 2 weeks, weather permitting. We resurfaced over 30 streets, including one gravel road. We're going to try to do one gravel road each year. The one done this year was Home Street. Finalizing the 2021 resurfacing list now. That's going to be published very shortly. Again, that will include 30 plus streets for repair. Regarding Alfred Avenue, the township, I reported this several months ago, received a DOT freight grant in the amount of $760,000. That should be enough to cover the entire roadway. I stay in touch with some of the business owners in the area on Alfred Avenue, as this roadway is in desperate need of repair and resurfacing. Someone apparently is posting information mistakenly on social media that the township is not moving forward with this project and is going to allow this project to lapse, which is completely false and irresponsible to say that. We will have everything spec'd out, and that work will begin sometime in 2022. So there is no threat to losing this grant, which was awarded in the spring of 2021, and that work will be done sometime in 2022. End of report.
Thank you, Dean. And again, I can't reiterate enough the importance of people signing up for alerts. Please go to the township website, and on the left-hand side, you'll see the menu where you can sign up, and just make sure you're there, because that's where you're going to get all the latest information, especially in emergency situations. And Dean, on behalf of the council, I want to thank you and your staff for the work that they did during Hurricane Ida, and they went the extra mile in going around and picking up the articles that people left out for pickup. We truly appreciate it, and it was a great service. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll pass it along.
Okay.
So, and Mayor, also just for the public's information, there's still a lot of information being distributed by FEMA and the state in regards to some assistance for people handling these Ida damages. I know I worked recently getting out one piece of information. As that information comes out, we try to make it available to our residents. So like the manager said, people please sign up for our email alerts, nixles, reverse 911s, and all that stuff, because that's where we'll be letting people know about all this different information. It could really help out some people depending on your situation.
And I believe they're going to open, if they haven't already, opened a combined FEMA state disaster office in Hackensack. I think you can go on the FEMA site or on the state site, and they can give you the information on how to contact them over at the Hackensack office. Okay, formal meeting items. Adoption of ordinances. Doug, if you could read in the ordinances, please.
Absolutely. We are considering 2 for adoption tonight, council, members of the public. First up, we have ordinance number 38-2021, amending and updating Appendix 3, fees and charges for township services of Chapter 2 of the Township Code entitled Charter Administrative Code, as amended by ordinance numbers 1 and 5-2018 and 29-2020 to amend Recreation Department fees for the use of the Voti Park Fieldhouse. We also are considering ordinance number 39-2021, amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 114 Shepherd Avenue. Those are the only 2 ordinances that we have up for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Council, does anybody have any comments related to these two ordinances for adoption tonight? Councilmember Kaplan? You're muted.
I think you're muted, Councilman.
Sorry about that. I got two mute buttons here. Just one question I had regarding the ordinance for the fees. I know that when the Board of Ed rents buildings under their policy, they have two items. One is the building rental fee, and the other is a cleanup fee. It's basically a set number of hours for the equivalent of a janitor or whatnot. For the use of the kitchens, is the cleanup included in the fee, or should we consider having a separate fee based on whatever possible cleanup issues might arise?
The cleanup fee, Councilman Kaplan, is not included in that fee. Again, we had to, I think everyone knows the reason we had to change this. We were contacted by Green Acres that we were not in compliance, and we needed to change the field house fee for non-resident organizations from $80 per hour to $50 per additional hour.
Okay.
Any further comments from council on the two ordinances for adoption tonight? Okay, hearing none, we'll open it up for public comment on just these two ordinances, please. So if you want to make a comment regarding ordinance number 38 or 39, 2021, please raise your hand and the clerk will let you in.
Again, good evening, everybody. I'm just getting our stopwatch up. As the mayor stated, this public hearing right now is only for ordinances 38 and 39-2021. We will be having our general good and welfare in just a few minutes. And I see some hands here. First one, I see Miss Debbie Eliyahu, bringing her in. Give us 1 second. There you are. Debbie, please unmute whenever you're ready.
Hi. I understand from Dean, by the way, first of all, Dean, I know it's off topic, but I'm really glad your son is okay. I hope that the other car's passengers came out of it okay. Losing a car hurts, but cars are replaceable. By the way, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I understand from what Dean just said that the fees were set by Green Acres. Were there facilities that were used for comparisons? And how many non-resident teams have shown interest in using the facility? That's all. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I am now bringing in Alan Sohn. Bringing in Alan Sohn. Give us a minute.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 38-2021 sets prices for use of the meeting rooms and kitchens at the field house. Given the multi-million-dollar cost of the building, primarily for the kitchenplex, there is no possible way to cover the costs of construction, bonds, and maintenance through these fees. In order to cover costs, the fees would have to be thousands of dollars per hour, not $50 to $150 per hour. These fees have residents holding the bag to cover the costs. Mr. Schwartz has never explained nor shown any business plan to justify the $1 million he added, nor have we seen any explanation for the $250,000 in added costs that was caused by delays resulting from Mr. Shadanian and administration problems. As oversized as the original version of the so-called field house, the size of the kitchenplex, the 2 industrial grade kitchens, kosher and non-kosher, was explained significantly after being expanded 2021-22 tax bill today. And I and all residents are forced to pay for the costs to cover the boondoggle that will not be covered by the fees. Every senior on a fixed income is forced to pay this bill. I can't opt out. No resident can opt out. I can't choose a smaller kitchen or no kitchens at all. I am forced to pay for something that I never asked for. There was no referendum to allow residents to choose whether or not they wanted a pottyplex or a kitchenplex or how big it should be. This is a basic right that residents should be entitled to have. Why should residents be forced to pay for something that they don't want, for which the sports organizations that were supposed to be their primary beneficiaries have indicated that they don't want? Where the primary beneficiary and the organization that seems to be paying the largest amount of money is not even based in Teaneck. It's a university program, sports program based in New York City. It is wonderful that we get a couple of dollars coming in revenue, but in terms of a business, we lose money on every single rental. The costs are excessive, not to the users, but to the residents who never, ever got an option to choose if this is what they wanted, nor for those residents who can't afford to pay for this, who don't want it, who don't need it. This is exactly the wrong way to make these types of decisions. And it's a simple thing to ask for, to have a township come up with a basic plan and show those numbers before spending the money, rather than trying to come up with something ad hoc after the fact.
Alan, the 3 minutes were up. You have my email address. Again, everybody, if you aren't able to fit your thoughts in 3 minutes, please send me, your township clerk, an email at clerk@tnecnj.gov, and I will be sure to copy and paste your thoughts and comments verbatim into the minutes. Mayor, I see no more hands at this time.
Okay, thank you. Does
Mr.
anybody-
Mayor,
Go ahead.
sorry, I apologize. I just wanted to reiterate. I did get my tax bill today. The cost per resident is $2.87 per year per resident. So I'm going to ask the CFO if he can please send me an additional tax bill for my family for $11 for the use of the sportsplex. I'm in all seriousness, that's a great facility. I look forward to approving this. I feel bad even charging anyone for this. Obviously $2.87 per resident is a steal, and it's a shame we actually have to charge anyone to rent the facility. The facility is open to very, very widespread support. I mean, how hard is it to support something that's you go to the bathroom in instead of a porta potty? Regardless, I look forward to making the motions, if that's the case, to support all these ordinances.
Councilmember Kaplan?
I don't think that the comments are worth responding to, but there's one thing I gotta call out. When someone says, why should residents be forced to pay for something they don't want? I mean, this is, the classic, why should I have to pay for senior services? I'm not a senior. Why should I have to pay for public schools? I don't have a kid there. Why should I have to pay for, soccer? I don't have, look, we are a nation of people that elect people. We pay for things, and we are a town of 40,000 residents. And I mean, if you can't figure out that we have a responsibility to one another, and just because you don't like something, it shouldn't be paid. I mean, look, everyone's entitled to have an opinion, but that is one that I will call out every single time it comes across this threshold, because it is repugnant.
Anyone else on council have a comment before I make my comments? Okay. If you saw what I see now every Sunday morning with a whole slew of equipment for special needs soccer program being put into the storage area in the field house, if you saw all the storage of equipment for the Teaneck football program that is in that field house, and all the children that get supported by that equipment every week. If you saw the group, and I'm not sure which group it is, but if you saw the group that was using the kitchen this Sunday to probably raise money for whatever their organization was, maybe you would understand that these projects are value adds in the public sector. These are ways in which community supports itself. It was never intended to be paid for by fees. It's being paid for by the quality of life that people have because we have these things here. And what that means to other people coming into this town, because now it's more attractive. Therefore, we support ourselves. And also think of the fact that the way this was paid for, this is being paid for not only by the citizens of today, but the citizens of Teaneck in 30 years. So that you're not getting the whole bill for these facilities, but you're getting full use of it while you're here. So to say those types of things is completely disingenuous and wrong. And I hope the public understands that. These facilities are a tremendous asset to this town, tremendous asset, and will continue to be. Enough. Okay, I close the public hearing. Do I have a motion?
Motion Schwartz.
Been moved, seconded, that ordinance number 38, 2021 and 39, 2021 be approved. Doug, call the roll, please.
Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes.
Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Publications going out tomorrow.
Now we'll move to good and welfare, where members of the public can give us input and comment on any and all matters. Doug?
Yes, again, I just want to remind our members of the public that if you are not able to fit your thoughts and comments and questions into the 3 minutes that is allotted to you, feel free to email me, Doug, your township clerk at clerk@teeneknj.gov, and I will be sure to copy and paste your comments, thoughts, questions verbatim into the minutes for the record. And going down the list here, I see Hillary Kessler. Bringing in Hillary Kessler. Please unmute, Hillary.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not Hillary, I'm Joseph, but it's my wife's computer, so that's why I'm coming up as Hillary.
Joseph Kessler, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, so I had approached Township Manager Kaczynski even last year about improving Pershing Circle. I'm a Teaneck resident of 18 years. When we walk by that circle, which we walk by almost every day, my kid's bus stop is at that circle. It's a very plain, very not attractive area. I don't know if I can show that. I don't know if that, okay, so that's what Pershing Circle looks like approximately currently. And we would like to, that's kind of what it looks like. Hang on 1 second. Satellite view. I think most of you are familiar with it. I think you can imagine it. Okay. We just like to plant some tulips there. That's a rendering. That's my drawing of what it might hypothetically look like. And that's a top-down view of what it might hypothetically look like. Like to just ask our neighbors to contribute $20 and $30 to buy bulbs and plant them in the circle. Don't know that we'd be able to do the entire circle in 1 year, but we certainly could do 2 halves of the 4 wedges or pie shapes that are there. And then if necessary, the following year, do the other 2. want to put together a group of volunteers to get these bulbs, these tulip bulbs into the ground in the first week of November. And so not really, I don't think asking for any funds, but just asking for permission and approval to proceed and try to beautify the circle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler.
You.
If you don't mind, maybe you could just send the clerk's office an email about this awesome idea, and we could take it to the administration and see what we could do.
Okay, what is the clerk's email?
Clerk@tnecnj.gov.
Clerk@tnecnj.gov.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. You have yourself a good night.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
All right, bringing in Sharon Bird.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Sharon Bird. You have 3 minutes.
Great, thank you. So there are two comments that I'd like to make. The first is, my family's decision to move to Teaneck almost 3 years ago was largely based on Teaneck's rich, diverse history. And it's been, really disturbing to me over, my time in Teaneck to see specifically LA Cats, how your agenda continues to focus on only one subset of the community. And it's very disappointing to see the council composition so sorely mirroring the population that it serves. And it seems that the same folks continue to be recycled. And if you continue to recycle the same people with the same ideology, how is it possible for this community to continue to grow and evolve? So I would be curious to know what the process is for implementing some type of term limits, so fresh and new ideas can help this community continue to be all that it should be. My second comment is for Dean. Dean, I'm really glad to hear that your son is okay. But I do, on another note, take exception to your comments about flood zones. As I said, my family moved here about 3 years ago. And while we are supposedly not in a flood zone, we certainly weren't when we moved here. We are now, because FEMA now categorizes our home as 8 out of 10 as likely to flood. So it's official. And as far as nowhere for the water to go, there certainly could and should be if the township did a better job of managing the sewage drainage issue. So from our perspective, as empty nesters who pay quite a bit in taxes, we don't use the schools, we don't use any of that. But it's just proven to be a really bad investment. And it's really disappointing that less than 3 years later, we're in a flood zone. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments, Sharon. I'm now bringing in Noam. Bringing in Noam. Give us a second here for technology to do its thing. Noam?
Yes, hello.
Hello, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say thank you for this past week. We had a block party, so I wanted to thank the council or whoever is in charge of, blocking off the streets so that we could have a block party, making the community feel more like a home. And also I wanted to thank the council for bringing in, the governor today. It's very important for the state to stay involved with everything that goes on here in our community, funding for schools and and, religious centers and things like that. So I wanted to say thank you.
Is that all? No.
That was it. Thank you.
We will bank your 2.5 minutes, my friend.
Fantastic.
I have a call-in user one. Call-in user one, please unmute *9 or *6. I assume you're on a phone of some sort. Hello, call-in user one, please state your name for the record.
My name is Margaret Baker.
Margaret Baker, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, my first comment is for the mayor. I'm calling to ask if the project on Decatur Avenue and Alfred Avenue has been made available to the council in Inglewood. And I'm asking because I'm bombarded with questions from people from Inglewood and other places as to what's going on. I have signs in my yard that indicate how I feel about the project. But this is coming from people that are walking and those that are in cars asking. I have my opinion, but I really think something should have been communicated to the officials in Inglewood. So I wish that would be addressed. Second, for Consul Kaplan, you said about the ordinance for trucks on Alfred Avenue that it should please Ms. Baker. Ms. Baker has nothing to do with the trucks on Alfred. I've never mentioned trucks being parked. What I said was there is a lot of traffic, and there is still and will be. For councilman or deputy mayor, your comment at the planning board when I said the apartment building is in my front door, I won't be able to see anything. And your comment was you should have known when you moved there that you were moving into an industrial area. So therefore, if you can't see anything from your front door, look at Route 4. Well, Deputy Swartz, I'll do more than look at Route 4. The time I spend looking at Route 4, I'll split it up and look at what you're doing on the council. And for Deputy Mayor Swartz, Deputy Mayor Katz.
Miss Margaret Baker, I apologize. Your 3 minutes were up. I know you have my number, miss. Please feel free to call me or send me an email, and I will be sure to fit in any comments that we missed into your section on the minutes here. I am bringing in an Eliza. Again, members of the public, if you are unable to fit your 3 minutes, or if you're unable to fit all of your thoughts into the 3 minutes allotted, please email me, clerk@tnecnj.gov. We'll be sure to get all your comments into the minutes. Just trying to keep with procedure here, trying to get Eliza in. Eliza, can you hear me?
I hear you. Do you hear me?
Loud and clear. You have 3 minutes.
Hello. A couple of thoughts. I called in last meeting and spoke about a stop sign on the corner of Grayson and Prince. And I just kind of wanted to follow up on that. And I know you can't tell me, but if you know, if it's kind of moving forward, because it's still really dangerous. And I get worried all the time when I see all these kids walking around the area. I want to thank Councilman Kaplan. I wrote him an email about litter around the high school that's kind of accumulated since high school's been back in session. There used to be a bunch of garbage cans that I believe were removed because people were dumping their garbage there. And part of me wonders whether the answer is putting the garbage cans on the school's property. They have garbage cans right by the doors of the school, but they don't have any in the outskirts of their lawn property. And I wonder if some garbage cans can go on their property where they'll probably get picked up more often because the school will see them, rather than be on the streets surrounding the property where they hardly get picked up. But definitely the litter, I clean it up with my kids every Saturday because there's so many boxes of all these restaurants in the areas. It's really disgusting. And the kids just aren't throwing out their food. And lastly, I just want to bring up chickens. You know, I was so excited about a couple of months ago, chicken ordinance coming in, and I know that it was stopped and it was going to be reviewed again. And I kind of just want to focus on it again. I just learned that chickens are a natural predator for the what's it called, the lantern moth.
Lantern moth. Yep.
Yeah. So something to think about. We're trying to get those things out of here, those invasive species. It's time to bring in the chickens. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Eliza. And ironically, the next hand we see is Mr.
I'm here for you,
Jesse.
baby.
Oh, sorry. Jesse Leone. Hello,
Good evening.
sir.
Can you
3
hear me?
minutes, you know the procedure, sir.
Thank you. I just want to piggyback on what Eliza was saying about the chickens. We already have 100 reasons why chickens are great, and the fact that they eat red lanternflies or spotted red lanternflies, which are an invasive species and are ruining our local flora, is just really the icing on the cake for having something that was super normal to have everywhere in the country until 50 years ago. Super normal for people to have everywhere outside of the country. So I would urge you guys to bring back a chicken ordinance that is a passable one where people will be able to actually buy a coop to house their chickens, and hopefully with not a overly aggressive fee that is punitive to people who want to have chickens. And then one other thing I just wanted to mention, besides that, was about 3 years ago, a gentleman went around reporting everybody's sidewalks, hoping that he would force the town to fix all the sidewalks. He actually did manage to get a couple of sidewalks that are controlled by the town. And there are still sidewalks that have the white dot and are pushed up and down because of the tree roots on the eastern side of Sagamore Park, the sort of the northeast corner. I am very frequently pushing my stroller there, and it's kind of a pain. And you guys have actual notice that is an issue that needs to be addressed, because your engineer went and tagged those lines. You know, many people in the town went out within a month or two and fixed their sidewalks, and it's 3 years later, and that patch of sidewalk hasn't yet been fixed. So please, I urge you, Mr. Manager, if you could send someone out there and have a look at those sidewalk pieces and make it a more passable area for the residents. So again, fix those sidewalks and chickens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse. Please be safe out there, sir. And I have a Alan Sohn.
Me.
Yes, sir. 3 minutes.
Today was very, very much a tale of two T-necks. Governor Murphy visited Bischoff's on Cedar Lane early this afternoon. He was greeted enthusiastically by a diverse crowd that attended, that listened to what he had to say. It was entirely open to the public. Any single resident of Teaneck would have had the opportunity to attend. Many of them did. The attendance represented the full diversity of this township. Mr. Murphy then moved on to a separate set of events on West Englewood Avenue at one of the restaurants owned by Mr. Katz, where he is the landlord. He is the landlord of all those businesses and restaurants on West Englewood Avenue, where he's also been handed basically the street for the benefit of himself and his tenants. These events were not open to the public. The public could not attend. The attendees were almost exclusively white and almost exclusively male. There were several council members there who might not have fit that bill of being for the Jewish community. Mr. Dunleavy was there, Mr. Pagan was there, but Councilwoman Rice, as she informed me, was apparently excluded. She never got the invitation. It's hard to understand what's going on. It's hard to understand that a council that supported segregated housing is now conducting segregated political events. There was a claim that this had something to do about the Jewish community, but there seemed to be a few individuals who didn't fit those criteria, most notably Mr. Dunleavy, Mr. Pagan, as well as, very notably, Board of Education candidate Darrell Green. I am Jewish. I was excluded. I support Governor Murphy. I have never supported Chris Christie or Donald Trump or any other Republican. The reason that I and so many other people were excluded is because I refused to kiss Mr. Katz's ring or bow down and kiss any council members behind. Mr. Katz, in his lazy, sloppy attack on the initiative to move elections from May to November, has claimed that the move will make elections partisan, that it will bring in contributions from political party bosses. The facts are that council members Schwartz, Organ, and Pagan received thousands in political contributions on top of a thinly veiled bribe for pay-to-play work from the Nishlin Group. Mr. Kaplan himself has received thousands of dollars from a party boss. Mr. Katz has received tens of thousands of dollars from a local business that pretty much seems to own him and who has received $8 million in paybacks. Darrell Green was granted an opportunity to meet with the governor as part of an effort.
Thank you, Mr. Stone. Again, your 3 minutes were up. I now have Natalie coming in. Again, if you miss the 3-minute mark, please feel free to email me with your comments and I will copy and paste into the minutes. I am now bringing in a Natalie. Hello, Natalie. Please state your name for the record. Please unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I have a lot to say, but I'm not, because I would like to address the West Englewood Ave converted into a one-way, and also the closure of 2 other streets that are not available to the resident. But the only thing I'm going to say tonight is, as for Deputy Mayor Katz, I think it's very unprofessional, disrespectful to when Alan Sloan comes on to speak, you leave, and then you return once he's finished. Now, you did that twice, so I don't understand it. But if you don't want to hear what a resident has to say, may it be good or bad, you don't need to be, as a counselor, you're supposed to be open-minded and listen to everyone. So I would wish you would stop being disrespectful to the resident of Teaneck. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Natalie. I am bringing in Anita Brown. Anita Brown. Anita Brown. Anita Brown.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon or good evening, rather. I called in last meeting regarding the council's cannabis ordinance and how it is written not to conform with the governor's legislation that people of minority people, women of color, disabled veterans, etc., be able to have first, for lack of a better word, first crack at opening the cannabis store. And I don't recall getting a response, and I would like to have a response, so I'm bringing it up again, and I hope that someone will be kind enough to take the time to respond. Because I have to get this settled in my mind as to why it's not written to benefit the people that it was written for. The way it is now, only big business could afford to operate a store in Teaneck. And that's not why it was legalized, legislated, whatever the word is. So please, someone please answer me at some point. Thank you very much.
Is that all, Juanita?
Yes, it is. Unless you want to answer me now.
I certainly don't have an answer.
Well, it has to be you, one of your council members.
As you know, we can't dialogue here, Juanita. Again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to send me an email. clerk@teanecknj.gov. I will be sure the council gets it also. I have a Shelley here.
Good evening.
Hello, Shelley. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, good evening. I too attended the events this afternoon down in the West Inglewood area, as well as on Cedar Lane for Bischoff's. And I echo everything that Alan Sohn said previously. However, I really thought Ellie Katz's display of leadership was just despicable. I mean, he sent out his little tidbits inviting people to meet the governor, saying everybody is welcome. And then you get there and you have a select few of Orthodox Jewish males only at these events. I was so, I can't even think of the word. It just made me so mad. And I hated the fact that I lived in Teaneck so long and these people are governing our town. I wish I could do something to get people off of our council who aren't going to act on behalf of everybody in this town and not just a select few. Ellie, you were despicable, despicable. Thank you.
Shelley. And I have a Dr. Jonelle Knox. Dr. Jonelle Knox. Please unmute whenever you're ready. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is John L. Knox, and I have lived in Teaneck for approximately 7 to 8 years. And there are a couple of road areas that I would like to bring to the attention that are in need of repair. I'm not sure if they are currently on the list, but Court Street at Vultee Park is in desperate need of repair. The exit off of Route 4 on the eastbound at Queen Anne Road is in desperate need of repair. And under Route 4 at Queen Anne Road is also in desperate need of repair. The second thing that I would like to bring to the attention is right at the triangle at Queen Anne Road. I just call it a triangle where it splits going to Route 4 and continuing on Queen Anne Road. There's a yield sign that is there, but for individuals who are not familiar with the area, or I'm always telling people that come to visit me to be very careful in that particular intersection. I really think that we need to have a yield sign that is a flashing yield sign for people to be able to see, because many times drivers will not turn on a signal. And if you're sitting there, you don't know what direction you're going to go in. Number 3, I live on Pinewood Place, right at the corner of Volte Park. In my particular area of Teaneck, there are a lot of old trees that are in our particular area that are not necessarily on the other side of Route 4. We've had neighbors to tear down trees only to have a neighbor across the street's tree to fall on our house. I have brought this up to Bergen County, that I think that there should be some type of an assistance program designed by either the township and or in partnership with Bergen County, because the cost to remove, and I have 3 trees in my yard, are approximately $5,000 each. And it is, as a single man that has moved here, it is a fee that I just cannot afford. And every time in the spring and in the fall of the year, I am prayerful that a tree will not fall either on my property or onto one of my neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I am bringing in Chuck Powers. Chuck Powers. You there? Can you hear me?
You hear me now?
Yes, 3 minutes, sir.
I spent the afternoon not at either Bishoff's or on West Engle, but in a medical test. So what I know about what happened this afternoon is indirect. But from what I can figure, there was actually a quorum of members of this council who gathered together in a meeting where one of the other members of the council was not permitted to enter the meeting. And as I understand it, an agenda item for that was for an issue directly related to the management and oversight of the town. And I understand there was also a member of the administration there. So at what point did that not actually constitute a meeting that should have been covered by OPMA? I hope that someone can explain it. I'm not going to be very, I know how Mr. Shadanian will handle it, but then I'm talking about how an attorney who would really understand municipal law would actually talk about it. And I'm going to go on to suggest that there is something fundamentally wrong in disallowing a member of your council from participating in what would actually be a meeting where she was not part of a meeting that constituted an actual quorum. Second quick point. On the 25th of March, this town paid the firm of Phillips Price for several hours of work by both Elizabeth Laney and also by Philip Price. And that night, he announced to the planning board, Mr. Price did, that he saw that the draft of the OSRP created by Elizabeth Davis, the state's leading expert on OSRPs, was just fine. And then we were supposed to have heard in September, according to Mr. Bodner, in August, what Miss Laney would say. And then we found out at the meeting last week that Mr. Bodner and the attorney for the planning board had talked to Miss Laney about what she was doing with that review. I am hoping that we are allowing our professionals to operate independently, and we are not telling them what is going to be acceptable before they'll be allowed to present. to our planning board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, I see no more hands at this time.
All right, and we'll declare the public good and welfare for this evening closed. We will have some now comments from council. So I'm just going to move around a little bit randomly, and I'd like to start with Councilmember Pagan, if I can.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, I want to thank all of our residents for participating tonight. And I would also like to thank City Hall staff for being here as well to help our residents with their concerns, because even if we don't get to answer all of your questions tonight, we are taking notes on what you are saying and we'll follow up with you. I want to warn residents about the continuing mailbox pirate problem we are having in Teaneck, because although mail theft is a felony, this does not deter mail marauders or mail pirates. They seek out envelopes containing bill payments and steal them. Then they use the checks in those envelopes to create counterfeit checks on your account and then cash them. Numerous residents in Teaneck have had checks stolen from their mailbox and from the Blue Post Office mailboxes located throughout town. And I myself just fell victim to a mail marauder who stole thousands of dollars from my bank account. Now, luckily, I was able to get that money back with the help of my bank, but some residents, unfortunately, have not been so lucky. And on Friday, I spoke to a federal investigator from the United States Postal Service, thanks to the assistance of Congressman Josh Gottheimer, and was informed that the post office police are working closely with our Teaneck police to help put a stop to this crime spree. But please be careful when mailing checks and take the necessary steps to protect yourself and your family from mail marauders and mail piracy, because it is a federal crime that has become an issue in Teaneck, and these criminals have taken advantage of numerous residents, including our senior citizens, which is absolutely shameful. I also want to let residents know that the United States Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is taking a number of steps to help make it easier for people to sign up for quality, affordable healthcare coverage in communities in New Jersey and across the country. Beginning this year, consumers will have an extra 30 days to review and choose their health plans through open enrollment, which will run from November 1st through January 15th online at www.healthcare.gov. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is also expanding services provided by federally facilitated marketplace navigators, and those are the experts who help consumers understand their benefits and rights. They also help them review healthcare options and help them enroll in marketplace coverage. And you can get more information on these benefits, programs, and open enrollment by going online at www.healthcare.gov or www.cms.gov. And lastly, I want to thank everyone who helped make the See Safe Weather mural a reality, because it was a beautiful event. And even our Lieutenant Governor of New Jersey came to help paint the mural, as well as our Bergen County Sheriff, our Bergen County Clerk, Bergen County Commissioner Jermaine Ortiz, and Assemblyman Gordon Johnson. So thanks again to everyone who helped, especially my colleagues on this council and our residents. You are all appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is my time.
Thank you, Councilmember Pagan. And again, I haven't had a chance to publicly thank you for your work on getting the CC Pueda Day done. It was a great job. Thank you. Next, Councilmember Rice.
Okay, so let's see. Mr. Kessler, what a wonderful idea to plant your tulips and build community. Ms. Baker, I hope that we will continue to collaborate with Englewood. I don't believe that there have been any conversations taking place with our neighboring community, despite the fact that we are building something very close to a community park in the Englewood area. Ms. Natalie, I know you voiced concern regarding the township's ordinance number 29-2019, which states that outdoor restaurants should still maintain 4 feet of unobstructed sidewalk for pedestrian traffic for outdoor cafes. And while we understand it's COVID, we are trying to help our restaurants prosper. Some restaurants had obstructed sidewalks even way before COVID, the ones that you had expressed concern. So hopefully those areas will be unilaterally addressed. Has nothing to do, as I believe some residents sent letters to community, to council, asking about the types of businesses. It has direct impact on failure to follow an ordinance. Today was just, again, another example of the two TNECs that are being created. An elected official who appears to be so concerned about mixing partisan and nonpartisan politics hosted an exclusive political event with our governor, again, mixing nonpartisan BOE candidate Dow Green, who was present. It was not inclusive, but just yet another example of self-serving and inequities that we have here. While we recently hosted a Walk the Talk event, I really look forward to real demonstration of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it appears that we are failing our community miserably in this endeavor. I spoke with the governor at Bischoff, thanked him for adding that stop, because that was the real TNEC, the diverse community that we represent, despite the polarization of some of my colleagues who sit on this council who are trying to polarize our community. Juanita Brown, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, is having a meeting on Wednesday, October 13th, and they will continue to discuss. It's a virtual meeting, so hopefully you can go to the NJ.gov/cannabis website, and you'll find more information about the Cannabis Regulatory Commission, who has indeed set priority licensing for minorities and women-owned businesses. But unfortunately, they've left a lot of that up to the municipalities to do its guidance. And I'm very concerned for how those priority licensing and priority treatments will be given to various minority groups. So I hope it's something that you, as well as many community members, will attend those meetings to ensure that we actually employ those restrictions and priority licensing. That concludes my statement.
Thank you, Council Member. Council Member Kaplan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Certainly appreciate the comments from Ms. Grutko regarding the garbage at the high school. As members of council, we get to interact with various cogs in the machine here, whether it's our Board of Education, where I'm a liaison, or our town administration and several others. So when a request like that comes in, what I was able to do was speak to our town manager, or school superintendent, find out who's in charge of the issue right away. And if you have issues and you're not sure who's responsible for them, feel free to reach out with things like that. My email's on the website, as well as other members of council. It's kkaplan, KKAPLAN at tnecnj.gov. We're really happy to help in any way we can. Regarding Ms. Brown, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission did create the rules, and the town is required to follow those rules. I'm more than happy to chat with you about anything specific. I didn't see an email that came in from you. I believe I had requested, if you're interested, to feel free to reach out. Every now and then we have somebody that comes up to the mic, and they typically point to Ellie Katz, I guess, because people, have the nerve to keep electing him, and they say they want term limits. Our council has 7 people on it. Of those 7, 4 of us, a majority, are serving our first term in office. And, there's a reason that things like this keep popping up. And the reason is because we rarely have more than a few minutes to explain why it's so incorrect that the people coming here claiming that we're all at each other's throats really don't seem to live in the same town that I live in, with my diverse neighbors that seem to all get along with each other when we walk past. But I think part of the reason that happens is that we can't have those series of chats in meetings like this. So what I'd like to propose, if anyone's interested, and is a one-on-one, perhaps, council members that share differing points of view, and I'll just offer to Councilwoman Rami Rice, because I know that she has shared, some diverging viewpoints, and I think the public will benefit from hearing us talk about it. Let's do a Zoom. We'll do it, on a schedule that's good for us, and we can, have various topics. You mentioned boards, statutory boards, how we choose people, what qualifications we want, what we expect from them. Let's have, a series of discussions on these issues so that the public can really get a sense of what is, just people coming up trying to stir things up, and what is actuality, differences that the voters choose when they go and elect us. So I hope you're there. I see your camera's off, but hopefully, you'll take us up, and the offers out there anytime in the next couple of weeks if you want. Happy to join you, and let's have this discussion for the public.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan. Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes, thank you very much. A few comments. As it relates to the comment of Court Street repaving, I believe next year we have Court Street being entirely redone. Not more importantly than paving, actually being reconfigured for a traffic pattern to fix that weird merge in the middle of the parking lot, and also yield us additional spots. So I just wanted to comment as it relates to that. Ms. Baker, thank you very much for calling in. I still didn't hear from you. As you may recall, Councilwoman Oregon, Deputy Mayor Katz, and myself stopped by your house to speak with you about your concerns. I left you my business card, but I did not hear from you. But my comments were that your house is at the intersection of the entrance to maybe not 1 million, but close to 1 million square feet of industrial space that's been there for decades upon decades, and that's what I was trying to point out. That being said, I'm happy to announce that I've actually read online that the Alfred Avenue site was sold, and the developers are moving along. As it relates to Englewood, it was given notice, as they do have some properties within their footage, and the Englewood Council and the Englewood Planning Board has been discussing this matter over the last 3 or 4 months, but we have not heard from them. Our plans were approved, and we hopefully they will be breaking ground next week. If Englewood has any reason to reach out, by all means they should, or they could have, but yes, they were indeed given notice, and multiple of their boards and councils have had those conversations. I also wanted to just thank Deputy Mayor Katz. Apparently he does control Governor Murphy. That's a very, very strong position of Deputy Mayor Katz. But Governor Murphy did address some school leaders as it relates to the Jewish school security and temple security, and the funding that the governor helped with the assembly in providing as it relates to in the aftermath of several shootings. So that was for some very sensitive conversations. I did appreciate that. I know the rabbis that were there were appreciative. Yes, a majority of our the Orthodox rabbis are white and male. But that's the Orthodox way, similar to priests are male in the Catholic denomination. Also, we had a second meeting with Governor Murphy at a restaurant on Queen Anne Road, in which he discussed other related matters. He discussed on security. So I was very, very appreciative of his coming to Teaneck in that regard. And with that, I yield the rest of my time. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Okay, so to Joe Godin, Joe Kessler, as is on the screen, I love the Persian Circle idea. And I would like to see if we can get the support. Maybe the manager can reach out directly and see what's needed as far as making sure the assurances are there. I know that we allow the Girl Scouts to plant, flowers. This would really enhance the community. And you could put me down as well for a $100 donation for some of those tulips. I would love to contribute to that area. I was there this Saturday. I actually got to sit next to Joe for a little bit. And it's a beautiful area with a great community there. As far as the chickens, never thought about it ever until it was brought up to the council. but I'm 100% in favor of the chickens, but it's not going to go anywhere because there's nobody driving it. I think last we had the problem was there was a cage issue that was written in the size issue that was written in the ordinance, and we wanted to get the health department's feedback. I don't know if we got any of those resolved, but if it comes in front of the council, I'll 100% support it. If residents want to drive it, do it. As far as the event today, I was real honored to have our governor here in Teaneck. You know, I don't know if I want to address the speakers directly, but I think one of them I do have to address directly, you know, because it's disappointing to hear a person like Shelley, who's very active in the community, gives of herself, was a Board of Ed member, to talk about how angry she is and how distorted the, you know, comments were of hers. You know, we're used to it from some of the other residents that start angry, always angry, whatever. That's how they are, whether they're on camera or off camera. We just get to be the recipients of it on Tuesday night. But with that said, let's make it clear. Here's how it happened. I found out from a resident in Teaneck that Governor Murphy was coming to Teaneck. And I said, well, I would like to make sure that we let all the residents in Teaneck know. And I sent it out on my tidbits list, 28,000 people, and I told them about the event. Now, some people got upset and started creating hay, and all of a sudden there was another event created an hour before. I found out an hour before this one, it was on Bischoff's. And by the way, I was not invited to the Bischoff's event. And I understand that there was a council member that spoke there. And I understand, surprisingly, there was a Board of Ed candidate that was standing right next to our state senator at Bischoff's. I know this is all surprising to many of the residents, but it happened. Now, I didn't do a census at the event that I was at, but I do know that no one was specifically left out unless they were protesting. And I do know that there were males, females, different colors and different religions that were there. As Deputy Mayor Schwartz said, it started off because Assemblyman Gary Scher wanted to speak to many of the synagogues and the leaders, but it ended up being a nice, mixed, diverse crowd. And then afterwards, he walked outside to the group that was there, took pictures, spoke to a couple people, walked upstairs and walked to another restaurant and spoke to other people. Now, I wasn't part of that organized group either. And that wasn't my location or my building either. So I can't control that. I did crash that party, and I know that there were other people that were in there, mixed of all different types as well. So I know that some people want to be angry, and I know that some people are angry all the time. But you know what? If you want to talk about who's dividing the community, it's the ones that come here that are full of it, that pretend like, oh, look at, you know what? How come I wasn't invited to Bischoff's? I'm an elected official. I would love to go to Bischoff's. How come I wasn't invited? How come many of my neighbors weren't invited? Who did the Bischoff's event? That's what I would like to know. I sent out my email to as many people as I can, and I got a very nice response. I don't remember getting an email from some of the elected officials that were at Bischoff's. And I know that some of the elected officials that were at Bischoff's read my email, because I saw they opened it up at 1:38 on October 4th. So I know for sure they read my email, but I didn't read theirs because I didn't get it. So thank you very much. The ones who like to continue to be angry and divide the community, keep writing your blogs, keep making up stuff, keep feeding people like Mrs. Bird, who's been in this community for 3 years, who doesn't know the history of many of the elected officials, but likes to hear some of the street gossip. Mrs. Bird, you have a question about my record? Call me. My cell phone's listed on every one of my emails, and I will go and speak to any resident. And that's my reputation. All right. I work for the entire township of Teaneck. I don't work for one group, and I don't fall into this garbage of let's try to divide this community and paint it on certain people. All right. You want to unite the community? Speak honestly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Katz. I just have a couple of things, actually. Most of them were covered. Ms. Baker, you did address your comments directly to me, so I'll just reiterate the fact that Englewood did pass a cannabis ordinance. And as you heard, they are in the planning stages of doing the exact same thing. They were aware of what we did, and we'll continue to see how this evolves. Dr. Knox, I know some of the street issues you raised were answered. However, and I didn't get the name of the street that or the intersection that you mentioned with respect to possibly getting a flashing yield sign. So I don't know, Dean, if you got that, if you did, if we could look into something there. Otherwise, Dr. Knox, if you can send me an email or send Dean an email so we can look into that and see if that's the appropriate control device for that area and intersection. Mr. Kessler, let's do whatever we can to get this tulip thing done. I agree with the deputy mayor. I think this is a great idea to do in that area. Let's see. In terms of today, I just want people to know I too was not invited to Bischoff's. Your mayor was not invited to Bischoff's. Your mayor was invited to the other event, and I feel it's my responsibility as mayor, when the governor of our state comes to this town, that I should be there to greet them. But no, I was not aware of this other event, didn't know anything about it. In fact, I believe it was Deputy Mayor Katz who told me about it as we walked in with the governor at that event. That's when I heard about Bischoff's. So I think you need to, and I reiterate what Deputy Mayor Katz said. I think you want to ask exactly who organized that and how and when, and how quickly it was done, and maybe with phone calls that were made. By who? Things are not as clear as you may think they are when it comes to politics, especially in a campaign. And so I was proud to represent Teaneck with the governor today. He's a really tall guy. I didn't realize he was that tall. But I'm happy that I did it, because I felt that it was my responsibility to you, the people of Teaneck, to represent you with the governor. And so that's why I was there. In terms of some of the comments from Dr. Powers, and he always tries to minimize or defame Mr. Shadanian's reputation. I thought I would give Mr. Shadanian a moment to speak, so that he yet again has to clear the air. And I would again urge everyone in this town to get a hold of his resume and find out what exactly he is doing within his profession of the law before you start to listen to some of these other people. So John, if you want to say a few words.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to comment on any of the personal or ad hominem comments about me or my reputation. My reputation speaks for itself. Anybody who wants to Google me or look at my website on my law firm, which the name is right behind my head right here, Mark, M-A-R-C, Mark Law. If you Google it, you'll find it. You'll see what I do, what I've done, and why I was qualified to be the township attorney, and still am qualified to be the township attorney in Teaneck. What I really wanted to comment on was Mr. Powers' inability to understand what an open public meeting is. And I say that I'm not directed at him to attack him. I say that because I've been in public meetings where he makes claims that something that's going on is a public meeting. That's not. The statute is very clear. The word meeting is defined in the statute, and it includes any gathering. You can do them electronically now. It was there before, but they've expanded out a little bit. But there has to be an intent, and the statute says that it's open to members of a public body, and it's held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon specific public business of that body. That's what a public meeting is. It's not just the fact that 4 members of council are together in a room having a cup of coffee and talking about their children or talking about the governor or talking about politics. They have to be there to do the business of the township of Teaneck. And anybody who was at what was described today as this event, and I'll say I was there. I mean, I went there as the township attorney. I thought it was appropriate for me to be there. I also wasn't invited to Bischoff's, but I was at the other event because as the township attorney, I thought it was appropriate for me, the township manager, the mayor, whoever else could be there from Teaneck to greet the governor of New Jersey, who's showing Teaneck some love. So that wasn't a public meeting. That was the governor making a stop in Teaneck during campaign season. A public meeting was where members of the governing body are there to conduct the business of the town, which is what's going on right now. And I don't want to waste any more time during this public meeting going into it. But I think that the English language is something that everybody understands on this council, that everybody understands in Teaneck. And if you read the language of the statute and you don't listen to someone who's just saying it to stir up noise, which is what was going on, you'll see that a public meeting was not held today anywhere else but on this screen or on the Zoom network. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, John. And Dean?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things quick. I do support the Mr. Kessler's idea for Pershing Circle, the tulip planting back in. I reviewed some of my past emails back in October of 2020. There was some back and forth emails and also with Public Works. I believe, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, that Public Works may have reached out to Mr. Kessler. So if that did not happen, or if talks stalled, I'll make sure Public Works is in touch with him so that we move forward with that project again. Regarding Sagamore Park, I believe we did some sidewalks in that area. If there are still ones that are marked out for replacement, I will contact the Director of Public Works in the morning to make arrangements to have an outside contractor come in to repair them. Regarding Grayson and Prince, that intersection, when this was brought up the last meeting, I immediately sent something to the Chief of Police to explore the possibility of putting some sort of traffic control device. The police, I think it was on September 5th, 6th, ultimately sent me back a report, a very comprehensive report that indicated there were 7 crashes in a 5-year period at Prince and Grayson. Again, that was in a 5-year period. 6 were attributed to driver, here we go again, inattention, and 1 was weather related. The police did not recommend any placement of a stop sign because it did not conform to the manual on uniform traffic control devices, the criteria there. So their recommendation is not to place a device there. They mentioned to me that they will better monitor that area, issue any citations that they need to issue. So again, no stop sign will go there. Regarding Court Street, as Deputy Mayor Schwartz mentioned, I brought this up several meetings ago. This is an area I'm looking to improve the flow of traffic, to make it one way, to repave that parking lot, come up with a new design to improve parking in the area. So again, that looks like it's going to be a 2022 project. And the resident, I apologize if I get his name, that brought up the areas by Queen Anne and Route 4. Again, this is New Jersey DOT responsibility, the ramps underneath. We have gotten complaints in the past. We forward them to DOT. I will have Kevin reach out to DOT again tomorrow. If I need to send a letter out, I will. If Teaneck is allowed, and it is our responsibility by that fork in the road, I don't believe it is, but we will check for sure. If I can put a flashing yield sign there, I'll make it happen. If it's not our property and DOT responsibility, we'll try to press them to put some better signage in that area. Thank you, Mayor.
Dean, most important question. Were you invited to Bischoff's?
No.
Oh my God. All right, for the holidays, everybody who wasn't invited to Bischoff's gets a gift certificate from me, from the council, on the council.
All those not invited to your soiree either?
Well, it wasn't mine, but I did publicly invite, and you did open your email at 1:38 on 10/4.
Never got it.
All right.
All right. Welcome to campaign season.
Who's running? Not me.
I know. Consent agenda.
Mr. Clerk, I'd like to make a motion to the consent agenda and the bill list in the amount of.
And the bill is in the amount of $1,700,162.37.
Second.
So moved.
And that is a second from Councilman Began. I will roll down the roll call. Again, this is minutes. Resolutions 251 to 262-2021. This is including the walk-in from Councilman Began's council listed item.
Right.
And the bill list, which was just stated. Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes, with an abstention on the bills list.
Councilman Began,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes, abstention on the bills list. What was 261?
261 has to do,
That was
if
the
I'm remembering-
temporary encroachment license?
yes,
Got it.
yes, thank you. I was just flipping in my packet. That's a whole authorizing a hold harmless agreement for a resident to put in a retaining wall.
What address, if you don't mind? I'm sorry.
To the 24
24 Oakby.
Okay,
I beat you to it, Mr. Manager.
got it. So yes, abstention on the bills list. Everything else seems good. Thank you.
Cool, Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda has passed.
Okay, move on. Introduction of ordinances. Doug, if you can read in the title, please.
Yes, we have a few tonight, so please get comfortable. First up, we are hearing for the first time ordinance number 40-2021, amending section 33-24, zone district requirements of Article 5, zoning ordinance of chapter 33, development regulations of the township code to add subparagraph A 5G to permit circular driveways within the RS residential single family detached zoning district as amended by ordinance number 31-2015. Ordinance number 41-2021, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the township of Teaneck, included within the Professional Fire Officers Association of Teaneck, FMBA local number 242 for the years 2022 to 2026. Ordinance number 42-2021, amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, deleting restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 735 Elm Avenue. We have ordinance number 43-2021, amending section 36-11.2 of Division 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for the handicap at 65 West Forest Avenue. We have ordinance number 44-2021, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck, included with local 820 Council 52 of the ASME Union, AFL-CIO for the years 2022 to 2024. There was a small typo in that heading there. I believe, manager, can you just correct me in the years that the ASME Union contract is
2020.
covering? I apologize.
2022 through 2025.
2025. Thank you, Mr. Manager. Sorry for that typo. Ordinance number 45-2021, amending ordinance number 23-2020, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck, included with the Teaneck Public Workers Association Incorporated and United Public Service Employers Union, Department of Public Works, non-supervisory contract for the years 2020 and 2021 to add thereto the positions of plumber and carpenter. Ordinance number 46-2021, amending ordinance number 32-2021, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the Township of Teaneck, included within the Teaneck Public Workers Association Incorporated and United Public Service Employees Union, Department of Public Works, non-supervisory contract for the years 2022 to 2026 to add thereto the positions of plumber and carpenter. Last but not least, we have ordinance 47-2021, amending section 36-14.1 of Division 2 of Article 2 of Chapter 36 entitled Traffic of the Township Code, adding Allridge Court to prohibited parking 10 a.m. to 12 noon, except Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. Mayor, that's all the ordinances that we are introducing this evening.
Thank you, Doug. Is there anyone on council that has any comments related to the introduction of these ordinances? Okay, Hearing none. Clerk, if we will move these.
Second.
So that was a first from our mayor and a second from Councilman Kaplan. Councilwoman Rami Rice,
Yes.
Councilman McGahn,
Yes.
Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes, with the exception of ordinance 47-2021.
47-4201. Are you abstaining or is that a no vote?
No, it's an abstention. It's a recusal.
And then we have Mayor Dunleavy.
Yes.
All right, ordinance is introduced. We'll
Okay.
see them on the 26th.
Thank you. Seeing no other business before us this evening on the agenda, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
All in
Second.
favor?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Sure. Have a great one, everybody.
okay. All right, good
Night,
night,
everyone.
everybody. Let's see everybody on Sunday.
Woohoo.
Teaneck Day, we'll see you
Teaneck
there.
Day.
See you Sunday and Teaneck Day.
Good luck to the Yankees.